Before this video begins, I want you to take one slow breath, because what you're about to hear is not an accident. It is not random. It is not coincidence. Something happened in your life recently. Someone left you, something broke, a chapter ended, a door closed. And ever since that moment, your heart has been whispering questions. You never say out loud, why did Allah take them away? What am I supposed to learn from this? Why do I feel this pain so deeply? Let me tell you something. Something that may finally answer the question that has kept you awake at night. What you lost was temporary, but what Allah is about to give you is permanent, transforming, and life-changing. You're not watching this video by accident. You're watching it because this is the moment Allah wants you to understand why He removed someone you thought you could not live without. In the next few minutes, I'm going to take you through something you were never taught, something that will change how you look at every heartbreak, every loss, every separation you've ever faced. You see, every person who leaves your life doesn't just leave. They shift something inside you. They open a space. They break an attachment. They free a part of you that was trapped. And that freedom is the beginning of your rise. And I promise you this, if you stay until the end of this video, you will not see your loss the same way again. You will not see your heart break the same way again. And you will finally understand that what felt like the end was actually the moment Allah began rebuilding your life. Your rise does not begin when people stay. Your rise begins when the wrong people leave. So don't scroll. Don't click away. Don't lose this moment. Because the explanation your heart has been begging for, the clarity your mind has been searching for, and the healing your soul has been waiting for, begins right now. Stay with me. Let Allah speak to your heart through this reminder. And let this be the video that finally makes your Allah remove them because He heard what you didn't hear. My dear brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when you hold someone so close to your heart that you don't even realize how fragile they are in your story. You think they are good for you. You think they care for you. You think their presence is safe for your soul. But what you see on the surface is never the full picture. Because behind every smile they showed you, behind every soft word they spoke, behind every promise they made, there were hidden layers only Allah could see. Layers you would have never discovered until the day they shattered you. You don't know the conversations that happened when you weren't around. You don't know the words spoken in private that you were never meant to hear. You don't know the thoughts they had when they looked at you. You don't know the intentions that were forming quietly in their heart. But Allah knew, Allah saw, Allah heard. Allah understood what your innocent heart couldn't detect. Sometimes a person smiles at you with warmth, but in their heart they hold thoughts that would destroy you. Sometimes a person acts kind, but their intentions are full of selfishness. Sometimes they stand beside you, but only for as long as it benefits them. And you, with your gentle heart, kept giving them chances, kept believing their words, kept assuming the best, kept hoping they would be who you imagined them to be. But your hope for them was bigger than the reality of who they were. My dear soul, Allah knew the truth long before you even suspected anything. He knew your heart was too soft, too sincere, too trusting to see the traps. He knew that if He allowed you to continue, you would lose pieces of yourself that you would never get back. So Allah did what only the most merciful can do. He quietly removed them before their hidden intentions reached your heart. You didn't see the danger. You didn't feel the shift. You didn't notice the change in their loyalty, but Allah did. He noticed when their heart moved away from you. He noticed when their sincerity faded. He noticed when their intentions turned bitter. He noticed when their words stopped matching their actions. And instead of showing you everything, instead of exposing their true colors in front of you, instead of letting their betrayal crush your spirit, Allah simply lifted them out of your life like a parent pulling their child away from a harmful object they think is harmless. To you, it felt like a sudden loss. To Allah, it was a long-awaited rescue. You cried because you didn't understand. You questioned yourself because you thought you were the problem. You sat alone wondering why the ending was so abrupt. You replayed memories trying to find where things went wrong, but nothing went wrong. Everything went right. Their exit was not the breaking of your story, it was the protection of your destiny. You were not losing a person, you were losing a danger you couldn't see. Sometimes Allah takes someone away, not because they are evil in every way, but because they are not good for your heart, your character, your mental peace, your emotional growth, or your spiritual journey. They were draining parts of you quietly. Parts you didn't even realize were getting weaker. Your joy was fading little by little. Your confidence was shaking slowly. Your peace was thinning day by day. Your connection with Allah was becoming distant. And you didn't even know why. But Allah knew. He knew this person would eventually hollow your heart. He knew they would not stand with you when life became heavy. He knew they would not honor you when you needed strength. He knew they would not protect your dignity or value your kindness. So Allah intervened. He took them away before they reached the part of you that you couldn't rebuild. He ended the chapter before the wound became permanent. He allowed their departure before their presence damaged your soul. At that moment, it felt like you were being punished, but in reality, you were being protected. You were being saved in a way you didn't understand. You were being pulled away from a future that had darkness written inside it. You were being pushed toward a future filled with light. Sometimes the biggest mercy from Allah is removing the person you begged Him to keep, because He knew the truth that your heart wasn't ready to see. My dear brothers and sisters, there were times you cried alone because they left. But imagine how many times Allah protected you from tears they would have caused later. Imagine how many nights you would have spent in hurt, confusion, betrayal, and disappointment if Allah had not removed them when He did. You didn't lose someone special. You lost someone who was slowly becoming harmful. You lost someone whose season in your life had ended. You lost someone whose character was no longer aligned with your growth. You lost someone who would have slowed down the future Allah is preparing for you. Losing them was not a sign you were unworthy. It was a sign that Allah considered you too valuable to be left in the wrong hands. You think your life fell apart, but Allah was actually making room for something better, something purer, something more sincere, something that will never hurt you the way this person almost did. You didn't lose them. You gained protection. You gained clarity. You gained strength. You gained emotional freedom. You gained a chance to rediscover yourself. You gained a future without hidden harm. It's painful now, but one day you will look back and say, if they stayed one more month, one more week, one more day, I would have lost myself. Allah removed them not to break you, but to rebuild you. And my dear brothers and sisters, when a person leaves your life, your heart often focuses only on the pain of the moment. You see the empty space they once filled. You feel the silence where their voice used to be. You notice the absence in places where they once stood. But what you don't see is what Allah removed along with them. You don't see the burden that was lifted off your heart. You don't see the stress that stopped quietly growing inside you. You don't see the heaviness that was building day by day. You don't see the emotional harm that was slowly shaping your future. When Allah takes someone away, He takes their shadow too. A shadow you didn't even realize was darkening your path. You might miss their presence, but you don't miss the emotional weight they carried with them. You don't miss the confusion you felt. You don't miss the insecurity that became normal. You don't miss the mental battles you had to fight just to stay peaceful. You don't miss the exhaustion you pretended wasn't there. You thought you were losing someone important, but Allah was actually removing a chain around your heart. The problem is not that they left. The problem is that you believed they were meant to stay. You saw their temporary role as a permanent one. You gave them priority in a place Allah never placed them. You trusted their presence more than you trusted Allah's plan. You held onto the idea of them, not the reality of who they truly were. But the moment Allah saw that holding on to them would harm your growth, your peace, your future, your self-respect, and even your relationship with Him, He allowed the separation to happen. Allah does not break something unless breaking it will save you. Sometimes Allah takes someone away not because they are bad, but because you are becoming someone better, and their presence would keep you stuck in an old version of yourself. If they stayed, you would have remained small. If they stayed, you would have doubted yourself more. If they stayed, you would have sacrificed your values. If they stayed, you would have lost parts of you that took years to build. If they stayed, you would have accepted a kind of love that was never at the level your soul deserved. So Allah removed them so He could remove the version of you that needed their approval. Sometimes the person is not the real test. The attachment is, and Allah cannot give you what is written for you until He frees your hands from what was never meant to stay. My dear brothers and sisters, you must understand something deeply. Allah sees every moment of your future with perfect clarity. He sees the conversations you will have, the tears you will shed, the mistakes you will make, and the heartaches you will face. And sometimes, before something painful reaches you, Allah steps in and says, enough. Enough heartbreak, enough disrespect, enough anxiety, enough of trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. Enough losing yourself, trying to keep someone who wasn't meant for your soul. Allah knows when you've carried a relationship longer than its spiritual purpose. He knows when a person's role in your life has finished. He knows when someone has taught you all the lessons they were meant to teach you. He knows when someone's presence is no longer helping you grow. And even though your heart is attached, Allah gently removes what your soul has outgrown. You see this as loss, but Allah sees it as graduation. You are stepping into a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, clearer, and more aware of your worth. You don't need someone who weakens your spirit. You don't need someone who confuses your heart. You don't need someone who treats your sincerity like a burden. You don't need someone who makes you question your value. You don't need someone who can walk away without thinking of the damage they leave behind. What you need is someone who adds peace, not pressure. Someone who respects your presence, not takes advantage of it. Someone who values your heart, not exhausts it. Someone who brings you closer to Allah, not closer to heartbreak. And sometimes the only way for Allah to bring that person into your life is to remove the one blocking the door. This is why you didn't lose anything. The truth is, you gained so much more. You gained emotional rest because no one is draining your energy anymore. You gained mental clarity because you're no longer trying to understand mixed messages or unpredictable behavior. You gained self-worth because you're finally seeing your value without someone diminishing it. You gained spiritual peace because your heart is lighter without the weight they brought into your life. You gained space because now there is room for something far better. You didn't lose them. You lost the pain you didn't deserve. You lost the stress you shouldn't have been carrying. You lost the confusion that poisoned your peace. You lost the fear of being abandoned. And what did you gain? You gained yourself. You gained the chance to rebuild your heart without interruptions. You gained the opportunity to reconnect with Allah without someone pulling you away. You gained a future that is no longer tied to uncertainty. You gained a life that is free from the emotional shadows they brought. My dear brothers and sisters, one day when your heart is healed and your mind is calm, you will look back and say, if I knew what Allah was protecting me from, I would have fallen into sujood out of gratitude the day they left. Because the pain you feel today is nothing compared to the pain Allah saved you from tomorrow. You didn't lose them. You were saved from a story that would have cost you your peace, your identity, and your future. And Allah saved you in the most loving way possible by letting them leave before they destroyed who you were meant to become. The loss was loud, but the protection was silent. My dear brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when a loss hits you so loudly that you feel it shaking every corner of your heart. It feels sudden, it feels sharp, it feels unfair. You wake up with their absence echoing in your chest. You go to sleep replaying conversations, wondering what you could have done differently. The loss makes noise inside you, even when the world around you is quiet. But what you don't realize in those painful moments is that Allah's protection did not arrive with the same noise. Your heart felt the shock of someone leaving, but it did not hear the quiet footsteps of mercy that entered your life at the same time. The loss screamed, but the protection whispered. The loss was obvious, but the protection was hidden. The loss broke your heart loudly, but the protection rebuilt your future silently. When someone leaves, you only see the door closing. You see the goodbye. You see the silence. You see the emptiness. You see the sudden distance. You see the change. What you don't see is what Allah is doing behind that closed door. You don't see what He removed along with that person. You don't see the emotional storms He shielded you from. You don't see the future heartbreak He saved you from. You don't see the pain He erased before it even had a chance to reach you. You don't see the hidden harm you escaped. You don't see the conversations you were protected from. You don't see the nights you would have cried. You don't see the betrayal that would have shattered you. The loss was loud, but the protection was silent. And this is how Allah protects His believers. Not always through signs you can hear, but through mercy you only understand much later. Sometimes the loudest thing in your life is the sound of something leaving. But the quietest and most beautiful thing is what Allah is bringing instead. You cried the day they walked away. You questioned yourself. You wondered why your heart was chosen for such pain. You thought this ending was a punishment. But while you were crying loudly over who left, Allah was quietly removing what was going to break you even more. You didn't hear His protection because it did not come with thunder. It came with gentleness. It came with care. It came with love. It came with wisdom. Allah didn't remove them loudly, He removed them softly so that you would not be destroyed with the truth behind their heart. You were not ready to know what they really felt. You were not ready to see their reality. You were not ready to hear what they said when you weren't around. You were not ready to handle the disappointment that was coming. So Allah took them away in silence. He allowed the separation to happen in a way that looked like confusion to you, but was actually protection from Him. The loss was loud because your heart was attached. The protection was silent because Allah was gentle. You saw the ending. You felt the heartbreak. You carried the pain. But Allah saw the beginning of your healing. He felt the weight on your soul. He lifted a burden you didn't even know was crushing you. Sometimes Allah protects you so silently that the only thing you feel is heartbreak. And you don't realize until later that the heartbreak was the cure. My dear brothers and sisters, you didn't lose someone suddenly. You were saved quietly. While you were grieving the loud pain of losing a person, Allah was shielding you from 1,000 silent harms you may never know, harms you were blind to, harms your heart was too gentle to face. Allah does not always show you what He saved you from, because seeing it might break you more than the loss itself. The loss was loud, the protection was silent, but when Allah protects you, it is always perfect. One day you will sit alone and look back at this moment. You will remember how loud your tears were. You will remember how heavy your heart felt. You will remember how confused you were. You will remember how the silence hurt more than words ever could. And then after time has healed parts of you, you will be able to say, I didn't realize it then, but Allah saved me. You will see how peaceful your heart became without their ups and downs. You will see how clear your mind became without their confusion. You will see how stable your life became without their unpredictability. You will see how your spirit rose without their emotional weight. The day they left was painful, but the days that followed were protected. And the days that are coming will be even more beautiful. You will understand that the loudness of the loss was nothing compared to the greatness of the protection. Sometimes Allah's silent protection is far louder in meaning than the noise of someone leaving. My dear brothers and sisters, there are times when the loss feels like a storm inside you. It shakes the walls of your heart. It makes your thoughts race. It makes your chest feel heavy. It makes your nights feel longer than your days. It makes your mind search for answers that simply do not come. The pain is loud, sometimes louder than your own breath, louder than your hope, louder than your patience, louder than your strength. But the protection that Allah gave you, that was quiet, so quiet that you didn't recognize it at first, so gentle that you mistook it for loneliness, so hidden that you confused it with abandonment, so soft that you assumed nothing good was happening. You were focused on what you lost, but Allah was focused on what He was saving you from. When a person leaves your life, you hear the door closing. You feel the emptiness. You feel the shift. You feel the silence. But you don't hear the doors that Allah silently locked behind you. Doors that led to heartbreak, to pain, to disappointment, to betrayal, to years of emotional exhaustion. You didn't hear those doors closing, but Allah closed them so you would never walk through them. This is why the loss feels loud to you, but the protection feels invisible. Allah doesn't always protect you with signs you can see. Sometimes He protects you by preventing something you never even knew was coming. You may think the relationship ended suddenly, But nothing ends suddenly with Allah. He saw your future. He saw the way this person would hurt you. He saw how their behavior would drain your energy. He saw what they would say when their heart changed. He saw the disappointment you would face. He saw the emotional wounds they would leave behind. Before any of that reached you, He stepped in. He removed them gently, gently, softly, to protect you from the storm you did not see. The loss was loud because it reached your heart. The protection was silent because it came from His mercy. Sometimes Allah saves you from a fire without letting you smell the smoke. You don't realize the danger you escaped because Allah did not allow you to feel even a taste of it. You think you lost someone important, but Allah knows you were losing yourself trying to keep them. He knows how you were forcing your heart to carry more than it should. He knows how much effort you were putting into something that wasn't healthy. He knows how often you ignored your own pain just to keep peace. He knows how your spirit was slowly breaking under the weight of the relationship. He saw what you didn't want to see. He heard what you didn't want to hear. He understood what your heart couldn't accept. So He removed them, not because you did something wrong, but because He refuses to let the wrong people stay in the heart of the one He loves. My dear brothers and sisters, the loss was loud because it happened to your emotions. But the protection was silent because it happened to your future. You cried over the ending, but Allah smiled over the beginning. He prepared for you. You were upset about the separation, but Allah was pleased with the protection He wrapped around you. You kept wondering, why did this happen to me? But Allah was silently saying, if only you knew what I saved you from. The day will come when the silence of His protection will speak louder than the noise of your pain. One day you will wake up feeling lighter with no reason. A day where you don't miss them anymore. A day where the memories no longer hurt. A day where your heart finally feels free. A day where your peace feels natural again. A day where your soul feels safe. A day where you suddenly realize this peace could never exist if they were still here. At that moment, you will understand the secret you couldn't see before. The loss that broke you is the same loss that saved you. When Allah removes someone for your protection, He does it in a way that seems confusing at first, but becomes clear as your heart heals. You were crying over who left, but Allah was quietly bringing someone better. Someone more sincere, someone more caring, someone more respectful, someone whose presence brings peace, not pressure. You didn't lose anything meaningful. You were relieved from something harmful, and that relief came disguised as heartbreak. The loss screamed in your heart, but the protection whispered in your destiny. And one day, those whispers will be louder than every tear you shed. What left you was never meant to walk into your future. My dear brothers and sisters, there are moments in life when something leaves your world so unexpectedly that you stand there in shock, wondering how everything changed so quickly. You look at the door that closed and think your entire future was behind it. You think your happiness was tied to that person. You think your path was connected with theirs. You think your story depended on their presence. But what you don't realize in that moment is that not everything that walks with you is meant to walk into your future. Some people are written only for a chapter, not for the whole story. Some hearts are meant to touch yours, but not stay with yours. Some souls are meant to awaken something inside you, but not continue the journey with you. Some relationships are meant to teach you, not travel beside you. When Allah removes someone, it is never random. There is always a reason, a wisdom, a mercy, a protection, a preparation. What left you was never meant to walk into the next stage of your life, even if your heart wanted them to stay. You see, Allah knows your future with perfect clarity. He knows who you will become. He knows where you are going. He knows the blessings waiting ahead of you. He knows the people who will enter your life. He knows the opportunities that will come. He knows the challenges that will shape you. And He also knows who cannot handle the weight of your future. Some people fit your past but do not fit your growth. They fit who you used to be but not who you are becoming. They fit your comfort but not your purpose. They fit your heart in its wounded state, but not your heart in its healed state. Allah removes them Because the version of you that is rising cannot survive surrounded by the people who were attached to the version of you that was breaking. If they were meant to be part of your future, they would have stayed sincerely. They would have grown with you. They would have supported your elevation. They would have matched your growth. They would have walked beside you with loyalty. They would have carried the weight of your dreams with you. But not everyone can walk with you to the places Allah is taking you. Some people are too small for the size of the destiny Allah wrote for you. Some hearts are too weak to stand with you during your rise. Some intentions are too unclear to walk with you toward clarity. Some souls are too attached to your old pain and cannot handle the healed version of you that Allah is preparing. Their chapter ended because your story is about to transform. My dear brothers and sisters, sometimes you think losing someone is a step backward, but Allah is actually pulling you forward. Sometimes you feel like your life is shrinking, but Allah is expanding your future. Sometimes you feel like your world is breaking, but Allah is building something new. You think they walked away from you, but they actually walked out of a space Allah no longer permitted them to be in. Their exit was not a punishment to you. It was a completion of their purpose. They did what their presence in your life was meant to do. They taught you something. They changed you in some way. They revealed something about yourself. They prepared you for the person you will become. They awakened what needed awakening. They tested what needed strengthening. They exposed what needed healing. Once their purpose was fulfilled, Allah released them from your story. What left you was not meant to walk into a future that is sacred, protected, and written with far greater beauty than anything you imagined. Sometimes you hold on to someone because of memories, not because of destiny. You stay connected because of emotions, not because of purpose. You give chances because of attachment, not because of alignment. You imagine a future with them only because you fear a future without them. But Allah sees the dryness in relationships you are still watering. He sees the cracks in connections you are still repairing. He sees the truth in hearts you are still trusting. He sees the future you are blind to. He sees the pain you are avoiding. He sees the disappointment that would break you months later. He sees the betrayal you didn't notice. He sees the intentions that changed long before their actions did. So He removes the person even while your heart still wants them. Not because you don't deserve love, but because you deserve a love that doesn't harm you to keep it. Not because you are unworthy, but because your new chapter requires people who can walk with maturity, sincerity, and respect. Not because you failed, but because the journey ahead of you is too important to be slowed down by the wrong soul. My dear brothers and sisters, you must understand something deeply. Some people are not meant to enter the season of success. Allah is preparing for you. Their presence would block your growth. Their energy would drain your rise. Their attitudes would damage your confidence. Their intentions would cloud your clarity. Their doubts would weaken your faith. Their inconsistencies would harm your stability. Allah removes them because they cannot breathe in the altitude of your next blessings. Your future is a place of healing, a place of clarity, a place of peace, a place of emotional maturity, a place of spiritual strength, a place where your heart finally feels safe. Not everyone is built for that space, so Allah protects it. He protects your future by removing people who cannot honor it. He protects your destiny by ending relationships that cannot support it. He protects your growth by removing distractions that would slow it. He protects your peace by separating you from people who disturb it. He protects your elevation by disconnecting you from those who would pull you down. What left you was never meant to walk into a future that requires clean intentions, pure hearts, and sincere souls. This is why you must stop asking, why did they leave me? The real question is, why was I trying to take them into a future they never belonged to? Once you understand this, your heart becomes lighter. Your eyes become clearer. Your past becomes easier to release. Your future becomes easier to trust. Your soul becomes easier to carry. You will look back at the people who left and say, if they stayed,